In the shadowed realm of Asgard, a tremor of unease rippled through the halls of the gods. Whispers of prophecy echoed in the wind, carrying tales of a monstrous wolf, Fenrir, destined to devour the All-Father himself. Fear gnawed at the hearts of even the bravest warriors, for Fenrir wasn't just a wolf. He was a harbinger of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. Born from the monstrous union of Loki, the trickster god, and Angerboda, a giantess known for her dreadful offspring, Fenrir possessed strength that defied comprehension. From the moment he emerged into the world, a pup with eyes like smoldering embers, the gods felt a tremor of unease. As he grew, so did his ferocious appetite and unyielding power. Despite their trepidation, the gods initially attempted to raise Fenrir amongst them. The young wolf frolicked with the playful gods, his playful nips leaving bruises that mirrored fear in their hearts. Tyr, the bravest of the gods and the embodiment of law and justice, was the only one who dared approach Fenrir with open arms. He fed the beast, earning its grudging respect, a bond forged in bravery, not fear. However, as prophesied, Fenrir's growth was alarming. Each day, he devoured enough meat to feed an entire army, his muscles rippling beneath his thick fur. The tremors of his playful jumps shook the very foundations of Asgard. The gods realized that keeping Fenrir amongst them was akin to nurturing a viper in their bosom. Odin, the All-Father, burdened with the knowledge of future catastrophes, convened a council. Faces grim, the gods debated their options. Some, fueled by paranoia, advocated for Fenrir's immediate slaying. Others, more cautious, argued for a more measured approach. Heimdall, the watchman god, his golden horn Jallarhorn gleaming in his hand, spoke in a voice that resonated like thunder. "We cannot simply kill a creature prophesied to play a role in Ragnarok. Such a blatant act would invite chaos and defy fate itself." His words held weight. The gods knew he spoke the truth. Yet the thought of letting such a monstrous force roam free was a bitter pill to swallow. Finally, a solution emerged, a plan whispered by the cunning god Bragi. "We shall test Fenrir's strength," he declared, a sly glint in his eyes, "and bind him with a chain that surpasses his might." The gods, desperate for a solution, readily agreed. They commissioned the dwarves of Svartalfheim, masters of metal and magic, to forge a chain unlike any other. Crafted from seemingly harmless materials, the sound of a cat's footsteps, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the breath of a fish, and the spill of a bird, the chain, Gleipnir, possessed immense, invisible strength. An invitation was sent to Fenrir. The message cloaked the true purpose under the guise of a playful challenge, a test of the mighty wolf's unparalleled strength. Fenrir, ever eager to display his prowess, readily accepted. On the island of Lyngvi, in the center of the vast Lake Amsvartner, a stage was set. The gods gathered, their faces etched with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Tyr, the only one who truly understood Fenrir, approached the monstrous wolf with a heavy heart. "A new test awaits, Fenrir," Tyr declared, his voice steady despite the churning in his gut. "A chain rumored to be stronger than any creature." Fenrir eyed the sleek, unassuming chain with suspicion. It looked like a mere ribbon, hardly a challenge for his monstrous strength. "A test fit for a weakling," he scoffed. "But I shall humor you, Tyr." He allowed the chain to be placed around his neck. The gods watched with bated breath as Fenrir flexed, testing the chain's resistance. To their surprise, Gleipnir held firm. The wolf snarled, surprised by the unexpected resistance. He lunged, pulling with all his might, but the chain remained unyielding. Frustration boiled within Fenrir's eyes. He strained, muscles bulging, his colossal form straining against the invisible bonds. The more he struggled, the tighter Gleipnir became, an unseen force binding him to the very core of the earth. Fury contorted Fenrir's face. He snapped at the air, gnashing his teeth. With a final, earth-shaking tremor, Fenrir realized his struggle was futile. A deafening howl, a mix of rage and despair, echoed across the desolate landscape. Tyr, his heart heavy, knelt before the bound beast. "Forgive me, friend," he whispered, "but the safety of Asgard hangs in the balance." Fenrir's response was a guttural growl, razor-sharp teeth snapping inches from Tyr's hand. The god knew the charade was over. The playful pup they once nurtured was gone, replaced by a monstrous entity consumed by rage. Seeing the danger, the ever-observant Mimir, the wisest of heads, spoke out. "The beast's fury knows no bounds. It will not rest until it is freed, and even then, its thirst for vengeance will be immense." His words hung heavy in the air. The gods understood the gravity of the situation. Binding Fenrir wasn't enough. They needed to ensure he remained incapacitated until Ragnarok, a prospect that stretched beyond the foreseeable future. A tense silence descended upon the gathered deities. Finally, Odin, the All-Father, stepped forward, his face a mask of stoicism. "A terrible deed must be done," he declared, his voice heavy with regret. All eyes turned to Tyr, the god of war and justice. He stood tall, the weight of the decision settling on his broad shoulders. He understood the sacrifice that needed to be made, a sacrifice that would forever alter him. With a deep breath, Tyr unholstered his mighty sword, its blade glinting under the harsh sunlight. Fenrir, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, watched with narrowed eyes. He knew what was coming. With a swift and decisive movement, Tyr plunged his blade deep into the wolf's gaping maw. A howl of agony ripped through the air, a sound that shook the very foundations of the world. Blood, crimson and thick, stained the once pristine ground. Fenrir, in a frenzy of pain and rage, snapped his monstrous jaws shut. The bones of Tyr's hand crunched under the immense pressure, a sickening sound drowned out by the wolf's deafening roar. The remaining gods watched in horror as Tyr, with unwavering courage, stared into Fenrir's burning eyes. He knew there would be no turning back. In that instant of excruciating pain and sacrifice, a pact was forged. Tyr's severed hand became the price for Fenrir's imprisonment. The once playful bond between the god of war and the monstrous wolf was forever broken, replaced by an unyielding enmity. The gods, shaken by the ordeal, gathered their composure. Using a magical stone, Sleipnir's enchanted tether, they secured the chain to a monstrous rock deep within the earth's core. Even Fenrir's legendary strength couldn't overcome the combined force of Gleipnir and Sleipnir's enchanted tether. As the tremors subsided and the dust settled, Fenrir remained trapped, his monstrous form a chilling reminder of the prophecy that loomed over them all. A low growl, filled with a hatred that burned brighter than any fire, echoed from the depths, a constant reminder of the monstrous power they had subdued. The gods knew that Fenrir's imprisonment was not an end, but a mere pause in a grand and terrifying narrative. They had bought themselves time, but the shadow of Ragnarok stretched long before them. The unbinding, though necessary, had unleashed a different kind of monster, a vengeful hatred that would forever stain the fabric of their existence. Yet, amidst the grim silence, a flicker of hope remained. Legends spoke of a mighty sword, Levitine, forged from the mistletoe that grew on the branches of Yggdrasil, the world tree. This legendary weapon, prophesied to be wielded by the one-handed god Hodr, could be the key to defeating Fenrir during Ragnarok. But the path to Levitine was shrouded in mystery, and the cost of wielding such power might be as great as the sacrifice Tyr had already made. Further unsettling whispers reached the gods from the realm of Jotunheim, the land of giants. Rumors of a monstrous wolf pup, born from Fenrir's union with a monstrous wolf woman named Angerboda, circulated amongst the giants. This offspring, Skoll, possessed an appetite that rivaled his father's, and it was said that Skoll was destined to chase the sun across the sky during Ragnarok, eventually devouring it and plunging the world into eternal darkness. As the tremors subsided and the dust settled, Fenrir remained trapped, his monstrous form a chilling reminder of the prophecy that loomed over them all. A low growl, filled with a hatred that burned brighter than any fire, echoed from the depths, a constant reminder of the monstrous power they had subdued. But now, another sound was added to the symphony of fear, the faint, but growing, snarl of a young wolf pup, hungry for vengeance, and echoing the rage of its imprisoned father. The peace, as fragile as it was merely a reprieve. The twilight of the gods was coming, and the monstrous howls that filled the air were a chilling prelude to the final battle. The centuries ticked by, a slow, agonizing countdown to the inevitable. Cracks began to spiderweb across Gleipnir, the once invincible chain. The subtle elements woven into its magic, the sound of a cat's footsteps, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, were fading with the passage of time. Unease settled upon Asgard like a shroud. The tremors that once heralded Fenrir's playful jumps were replaced by an unnerving silence. Yet, a deeper tremor vibrated through the very foundations of reality, the tremor of approaching Ragnarok. On the surface world, the monstrous serpent Jormungandr, sensing the weakening bonds that held him captive, writhed in his coils. Tidal waves crashed against the shores, and earthquakes rattled the once sturdy halls of Asgard. Heimdall, the ever-vigilant watchman, felt a tremor course through Gjallarhorn, his mighty horn. A faint crack appeared in the sky, a harbinger of chaos. Deep within the earth's core, Fenrir stirred. The subtle changes that signaled Ragnarok's approach resonated within him, a surge of power coursing through his monstrous form. He strained against the weakening bonds, a low growl rumbling from his throat, a sound that echoed through the weakening magic of Gleipnir. Memories, the playful nips that turned to fear, the deceitful challenge, and the agonizing loss of Tyr's hand, fueled his rage. With a final, earth-shattering roar that split the sky, Fenrir lunged. The once potent chain couldn't hold any longer. The mountain roots shattered, the sound of the cat's footsteps vanished, and the breath of the fish dissipated. Gleipnir snapped with a deafening clang, the sound echoing through the halls of Asgard and striking fear into the hearts of the gods. Fenrir erupted from the depths, a monstrous tidal wave of fur and fangs. The once potent chain lay discarded at his feet, a symbol of the gods' failed attempt at control. A howl, a sound that shook the heavens and sent shivers down the spines of even the mightiest gods, erupted from Fenrir's throat. It was a howl of rage, a howl of vengeance, a declaration of war. The prophecy foretold for generations was finally coming true. Fenrir was free, and Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, had begun. Thank you for watching. Please comment below what you would like to see next.